Well, good day everybody. I hope you're all feeling fit and well. We're going to have a little discussion today on old souls. I don't even know what a young soul is. Jeff, perhaps you can start and give us a lead in for it.
Yeah, sure. Good evening, everybody. Good to see you all. What is an old soul? Well, I guess the best description would be a person who seems wise beyond their years, perhaps. Somebody who has a deeper understanding of people, life, the world, or the greater universe for that matter, than your common person, okay? It's somebody who's naturally wise, a deep thinker, and somebody who seems to have acquired knowledge from many lifetimes. That's the sort of definition they give us for an old soul. So, it'd be interesting to know what anybody in the room here thinks about that and whether they feel that they are an old soul. There you are. Laurie says, it ain't me.
It certainly ain't me. I'm
old soul? I know Brian's just old, but don't worry about
that. Again. I won't go down the street I was going to go to now. I'll forget that one. It's all good.
It's interesting from my perspective that, even if you're not an old soul yourself, you meet somebody and you look at them and you listen to them and you think about what they're saying, you sort of know in your own mind that, hey, this person's, got knowledge that's very deep. It sort of stands out to you, doesn't it?
Yeah, that is very true.
We sort of sense that feeling of oldness about them. I don't know. It's very hard to put it into words, but it's just the knowledge that you have. And a lot of things these days, especially, Brian, is that a lot of the kiddies coming through, the crystal children and the great, whatever they are, or whatever names they give them these days, they
Indigo
are
kids, yeah.
Very wise for their age, extremely wise for their age.
And there again, it's how the child is brought up, isn't it? If they're trodden down all of the time, they'll never have any ideas on, what life is. Whereas if a kid is brought up correctly, then, and the parents don't push any stupid stuff into them, I think they've got every chance in the world of, letting people know they're an old soul. But, I was reading about a young kid from Russia, and he can go back far enough. Now, he's been doing it since he was 2 years old. He reckons he came from Mars, and he'd done drawings and he's done explanations of how this works and that works. For a 2-year-old, it was brilliant. Anyway, he's about 10 now, I suppose. And of course, now you've got all the skeptics coming in and denying everything, But I don't know. Don't get all of it. All of it is only one person's thoughts and ideas. People, go on about it. There is so much more to it, and we've got no full physical proof. An old soul. My father was for want of a better word, is another, but the end of his soul. He had no clue at all as to living, and yet his twin brother was the most fantastic bloke I've ever known in my life. He was really a good guy. Whether he was an old soul, I wouldn't know. I've yet really to meet one.
I think a lot of us, going back on what you said there, the age of the enlightenment of this world is actually over the next few hundred years, either way. And I believe a lot of people like myself, I was born in 1946, right? And spirituality was never spoken about. So I had no chance to expand in that area because it was never done. You just didn't do it. I didn't get into it until I was like 45. But a kiddie of nowadays who's born of a parent who is aware of spirituality from the start, that child has got the nurturing place to be, and is obviously going to develop very quickly and become much better than we are. at a much earlier age,
Yeah.
shall we say?
Well, in 1950 I was 8, and I went to live with my grandmother, and she was a full spiritualist. She couldn't really practice things because there was no one around her, even her own daughter that lived with her. You know, it was my mother was her daughter as well, so her daughter. She was partially spiritualist, but she was a bit young at the time. And as I say, my grandmother's family all came from Ireland, and they used to troops around the place in one of these, the horse and cart things, with the doors on the back where they lived in it. It was everything was spiritual from start to finish. They were healers. That's what my grandmother taught me when I was there, when I was 8. So, been there a long time. But
I know one of my grandsons, when I used over in Australia, when I was living there, I could sit at the table talking to his mum, my daughter, and I could, in my mind, I could say something to him. He would stop what he was doing, and he'd turn around and look at me, and then carry on doing what he's doing. So he could read my mind.
Yeah.
He knew I was talking to him in my mind, and he was like 6-year-old, 7-year-old. It's like, wow, this is amazing.
What's he like now, Jeff?
Well, I don't.
What's he like now?
I haven't seen him for many years because when I divorced my wife, my daughter fell out with me, so I don't see them or speak to them anymore.
Okay. Yes. Now I've got one of my daughters is. I think she tries to be more spiritual than she really is at the moment, but she's got lots of worries. She's got half the farm to run and all that stuff, and she's got a job doing books for all different country neighbourhood. But as I say, she learns that these things are possible. I found out myself because things that happened to me, and consequently, that made me even a stronger believer. But because there were certain women that you could talk to about it, but there wasn't a bloke in the bloody world that turned around and honestly admit that he was spiritual and he believed in, all what we believe in now. As I say, old souls, don't know. Not that one. Not one.
Well, the thing is, there are some characteristics that they give us about what an old soul is. So people who are listening to the show wonder, well, I wonder if I'm an old soul. There's some characteristics we can give you here that will help you to decide for yourself whether you are or you aren't. Okay? First one they give us is, if you think you're an old soul, chances are you are, so accept it, don't question it. That's your first kick. If you have that feeling for yourself, then don't deny it. Okay? If somebody's come to you and says, wow, you're an old soul, especially if you had more than one say it to you, then accept that. They have sensed it and picked it up for you. If you've got a very, very strong sense of yourself, chances are that you're an old soul. Spiritual and self-development is very, very important to you. There's a chance that you're an old soul. You young souls don't jump into spirituality like we do. It takes time and a lot of work. Another one is that you feel like you've already learned many life lessons in this lifetime and perhaps in other lifetimes too. That's a good indication that you're an old soul.
Yeah.
If you've got a strong sense of knowing that you've lived many lifetimes or feel a strong connection to particular countries, historical periods, cultures, musics, fabrics, etc., that's another indication. I have a very, very, very strong drawing towards Merlin, England. Now, everything about him just fascinates me. So there's a good chance that there's a link there to me to an old soul,
I think this past life regression thing though is another way of going into it. But how much of it can you really not believe when can you really add to? I think because there is so many people say that they are akin to famous stars and famous people from the Bible and all that sort of thing. And you think, well, not everybody can, and that's what it seems to be. You know, they've got this idea that they've got to be a special person to be an old soul. And, well, I disagree with that, to be honest.
I don't think you've got to be special. I think you've just got to be aware. That to me is the important thing. If you have that feeling about yourself and the awareness about yourself, then the chances are you are. And as far as past life, I used to do past life regret readings for people. I stopped. People said, why? You know, we loved them. I said, but I can't prove anything I say.
That is it.
And I feel that, you know, I could make anything up and you're going to believe me. And I didn't like that feeling. It didn't feel right to me.
Yeah.
So I stopped doing them. Okay, another one is you're consciously integrating knowledge and wisdom accrued from many lifetimes. So if you're consciously doing things as well, that's a good sign, you know. There's a whole heap of more of these things, but I don't.
They reckon there's 5 different levels as well, you know, from sort of a baby to a young child to middle ground, and then you come to the sort of obviously the penultimate, where they say it takes longer, so you have to go through a few different lives to accrue it, and then because then afterwards you come out. I reckon there's 7 different lives you have to go through just to become a real old soul. You know, how to? Who knows? Who knows? As you said just now, proof. I mean, I endeavour to everything that I do to make sure that there's proof there. When I do a reading on somebody, I want feedback, because without feedback you're nowhere. You know, and it's much the same as, you know, with these people who say they're old souls or this, you know, show me some proof. To me, the proof is actually in the eating. You've got to do the thing first and then show people.
I did one reading once and I got some proof back, which absolutely threw me because I didn't know this could happen. But I did the meditation for this lady, and I saw her in a mud hut, real old, very basic stuff. This is years, obviously, you know, many centuries back, and she had a pot over a fire and was busy cooking away, and I was focused on this lady and trying to describe her for the woman, and she sort of said, well, yeah, well, I don't know about that, you know, when I finished. And another lady in the room said to me, Geoff, you should have looked around. She said, I came with you on your journey. And she described things she saw on the other side of the room, which I hadn't even looked at. So if two of us got there and saw it, there has to be something there, surely, you know.
There is. This is it, exactly. Now, that is proof, isn't it? Because if they can pick up on the same things that you picked up on, you know, I mean, I've always been one for proof of everything, you know. I mean, I suppose being a mechanic and engineer, you know, you think up these ideas, you make it to be able to prove that it works. That's been my lifestyle ever since I was a kid. Whereas with 90% of spirituality, especially what we're talking about now, you know, the past lives and such, how can you get proof? How can you even come close to?
What I do, or what I've always done, is I apply logic. I'm electronics and not rather than a mechanic like you, but I think logically. If it makes logical sense to me, I'll run with it. If it doesn't make sense to me, I'll walk away and say, no, I don't believe in this. You know, it just doesn't gel. So to me, you know, there has to be a certain amount of logic in how it all works. The world has to be logical. You know, it doesn't work otherwise.
Well, this, I mean,
think you are, Laurie. I think you are an old soul.
You're
just not
I do.
Aware of it at the moment.
Yeah, but she's got a lot of things on her plate, hasn't she? So consequently, by being that, you tend to not go into your mind deep enough to be able to sort out the different things. I think. No, I'm pretty sure you are, Laurie, and that's a fact. I know Raven is. She's a real old soul, young looking.
Some other things you could think about is whether you're calm and peaceful and you realise that stress is not good for you. When you speak, you tend to speak slower and you think about what you're going to say and you mean it when you say it. You know better than to get muddled up in other people's affairs or get caught up in drama. You've got to be compassionate and understanding. That's all a good sign. They're all good signs that you are on that path of being an old soul. So it's all about looking at yourself, deciding whether you feel you are or not. If you feel you are, that's it. That's all you really need to know.
Yeah.
So there you go. It's quite fascinating, isn't it?
Yeah, I've come to the conclusion that we are what we are. With it, labels are something that's easily stuck onto people, and I've never been a great lover of labels. I'll be honest. It's I do my thing. I'm supposed to be a telepath. Yes, I've proven that quite a few times. Not consistently, I must admit. I'm still a junior at it. I'm still trying away, but it's something that I have proven, and I think being an old soul. Many people have called me an old soul before now. As I say, it's contentious, isn't it? You never know. I mean, I don't get upset about anything at all. I've got no thoughts of, anger or retribution or, hurting people or anything like that at all. I don't care. I mean, if the bloke next door wants to go and jump in the lake, that's his thinking, not mine. I'll be there if he needs some help to save him, but, what he does is entirely up to him, and that's why, I keep out of trouble all of the time, always have done, and I think this is the best way to go. I mean, I don't get road rage or any of that sort of stuff, I think that one has to really judge yourself as to, well, it's much the same as spiritualism. It's a way of life. Once you get that way of life, you can stick there, and perhaps that's when you are an old soul. So,
I think one of the other things, this is something that's happened recently. When something new is given to you, or offered to you, shall I say, rather than given to you, sort of step back, think about it, and you approach it in a calm and controlled manner. You don't get carried away and jump in feet first. You think about things and try and make it logical and sensible to yourself. If it works for you, then of course you step up and go with it.
Yeah.
This is something I've had happen to me in the last month or two. I've been led to. I actually had a dream where I was told that I was going to be working galactically or universally rather than just earthbound.
Yeah.
I thought, oh shit, he was talking about aliens and things, this is all new to me. And it's just amazing how things have come to me, and yeah, I'm still getting it all clear in my head,
But Maggie says there, how about if you don't feel as though you belong here on Earth? I've never felt as though I belong here on Earth. I've got different ideas to everybody else. To me, you look at people and you think, how can they even be allowed on this planet? Because then you start thinking about, here on this planet, hang on, what do I know about this planet? What do I know about any other planet? And all these sort of things break it up. But honestly, ever since I was a kid, I've always felt as though I was the alien, and I was just put in the wrong place. But I feel, and I'm pretty sure I know, I made a contract before I was conceived that I will do what I have done. I finished that contract about 12 years ago, and my life went from being quite hard and miserable overnight to going from there to there. And believe me, I love my life. I honestly feel now as though I've done what I was set out to do. The people that needed my assistance or help or teachings or whatever, I've done that. And consequently, does that make me an old master?
Yeah. Well, I've done a few things. I did a meditation, and I was taken back to what was it now? Atlantis.
Ah,
That was fascinating to see that place.
phenomenal. Yeah.
So I think I am a bit of I'm old anyway, but I think I'm a bit of an old soul too.
Well, I'm older. No, as I say, there's so many things. I believe, as you say, in factual evidence, things that you can actually put your finger on and say, yes, I know this happened, or I've recorded something, and that's when it's happened. And I've got that proof sitting there. And I think this is the most important. I done a reading for a lady, and I told her about her house. She wanted to build a meditation room at the back of her house, and I said, well, hang on there. And I went into remote viewing and went there, and I said, no, I said, the way your house is situated, it's at an angle to the road. I said, you hardly get any cars on the road, so it'd be better if you build it sort of in that garden to one side of your house, between the house and the road. I said, because if you build it in the backyard where she wanted it, I said, there's a railway line at the bottom of the garden. And her words, how did you know there was a railway line at the bottom of my garden? So that to me is 100% proof that I can do what I say I can do. Now, could you do that with many things? Does that make me an old soul, or even a master, or as I say, there's so many different things, which, by the way, is only what names that man have put on it. So Dan. Good day, Dan.
Oh, guest is on good. Hi, Dan. Welcome to the room.
Hi, guest. How's things going? Now, as I say, it's all down to, love that. Good day, guest. Yeah, it's all down to your own responses to what you do. I mean, there's no one. All right, there's been thousands and thousands of books written about spirituality and all the different things. But there's no proof on any of it. And I mean, you could make up any story that you wanted and put it out, and everyone would, or lots of people would believe you. But is it true and is it factual? I strongly believe that, you've got to be your own master and say, yes, I believe this, or no, I don't believe that. I don't, be your own people.
Oh, absolutely. It's about knowing yourself.
Yeah.
That's what you've got to do. You've got to know yourself and be controlled in what you do and how you do things. Them to the best of your ability, then nobody can really complain, can they?
Well, this is it. I do not tell lies, I'll be honest. If something was beaten out of me as a kid, and I think Pauline will verify that, I've never ever told you a lie, have I, love?
No, you haven't.
Right. So, it's the way you came up. I like to think of everything as being evidence, and whatever you do and say can be relied upon.
Yeah, I think there's far too much stuff in the world at the moment in the spiritual field that are people's opinions and not necessarily fact. And that's one of the areas that I have, problems with. Being a healer, I work with Reiki, basically Reiki, but I use Reiki Seishin, which is the first thing I was taught in Reiki is that you are a channel for the energy. That's it. You go into these rooms on Facebook and you talk to the people doing Reiki. Let's design a symbol for this, and let's design something for that.
Yeah, why?
For the energy. You don't need symbols, just channel the energy through. That's all you got to do.
Yeah, but this is exactly what I'm saying. You know, people are making it too difficult, much more. I mean, I was taught by my grandmother, as I say, when I was 8, that it's like healing is like having a drum pipe on the top of your head and receiving that from spirit, and then you put that out and help people. That's as far as it went. But in those days, there was no such thing as Reiki or any other type, and having all the symbols. I could never understand it because I thought, well, these two things here, the two hands, they're my main thing. They're my symbols. They're my energy. It's all there in the hands. So why would people want to make up anything else or do anything else? But there again, it's all up to the individual, isn't it?
Yes, it is. Yeah. Yeah, there's a bit of noise on Brian's mic at the moment. I think his wife's hoovering or something.
No, she's got the jug on, making a cup of coffee.
Sorry.
No, you'll be right. I'll cut it off for a minute.
So, what's your name, guest? We don't know you. We've got... Dan's gone again. Okay. Who are you, guest? Would you like to tell us who you are? Trisha. Okay. Thank you. Question for you, Trisha. Do you think you're an old soul? That's what we're talking about tonight, old souls. Interested to know what you feel. Some days, some days, another day you feel like you're just...
Oh, I honestly think we all feel like that.
Most of us go through that sort of in and out period.
Very much so. It's one of these things that you can't really, as I say, there's no book of rules to go by. It's the same as bringing up a child. There's no book to say, right, this is the instruction book for this kid, and it's exactly the same with spiritualism and, all the souls. I reckon it's 5 different types of soul, young souls, baby souls, and mid-teens and all that sort of thing. There's no book. It's just what people think. We just plod them through life and do whatever we can and what good we can.
That's one of the things that we talked about, Tricia, is that if you feel that you've lived many lifetimes, then the chances are you have. And go with that and run with it. Okay. Yeah,
it's so important that you be yourself, not what other people want you to be, not what you think you should be. Just be yourself. That's beautiful stuff.
Yes, it is. It certainly is a good way to be. And as I said, I was just saying to the people earlier, I've sort of backed away a bit recently because I'm reevaluating things because of new information that I've been given. So I'm sort of looking at it all with new eyes again now, starting all over again. And it's interesting, but it's still a little bit scary sometimes,
Yeah. Thing is, here in Australia, there's quite a following, but they're nearly all elderly women, and there's very few youngsters coming in. And even the churches are so biased towards the what they call the SNU, Spiritualist National Union. And because of that, you've got to abide by their rules, and what they say is what goes. And who says they're right? Nobody is 100% right. You've got to. I mean, I've been to a church here, loved the place, beautiful, and then a new person took over as the head, and it all went to absolute shambles because of her thinking.
I had the same. I sat in circle the lady over the east side of Melbourne, up in the hills.
Oh yeah.
Chrissy 26 on Pal Talk she was. She was a brilliant medium, and she taught me mediumship. And the proviso was I could go into a class as long as I promised that I would go on platform and do readings for her, but at the end of the class, when she felt I was good enough. And I did. And I went for the next, after I finished with the class, I actually did readings in the spiritual church for a year over the other side, over where she lived. And I lived over this side, so it was, it was a long drive for me every day. So I went to the local church. And I wandered in, I said, hello, how are you all? Sat and listened to the show. I actually got a reading and everything, And we went to have coffee and biscuits afterwards. And I said to this lady, I said, I'd like to, join in your mediumship group. She said, oh, you can't do that.
Been there.
You have to do a 6-week meditation course first. And I said, why? She said, well, you can't be a medium if you don't meditate. I said, well, utter crap. I don't meditate. And I've been on platform doing readings, in the church. So, but different churches, different rules, You do.
But this is it. It's down to the individual. It's down to the individual. I mean, I've heard so many stupid remarks that it's unbelievable. Some of the self-imposed rules that they make up about spiritualism. And what is spiritualism really? It's each person is an individual. You have the right to be whatever you are. Oh well, you've always been a bit of a dreamer there, Raven.
Don't ask her what she dreams about, for God's sake.
No, we'll leave that one alone. Now, anyway, as I say, there's so much to this old soul business. Define to me, Geoff, what do you gain out of being an old soul?
It's not a matter of gaining anything, I don't believe. I think it's a recognition that this isn't your first ball game. You've been around the traps. You understand things a lot better than us, perhaps others do. But it's just more of a confidence boost for you to think, well, okay, I've done a few things now, and I should be more confident in what I do and how I do it. And that's the idea. Most of the people you talk to doubt themselves all the time.
Well,
at least a lot of the ones I talk to do anyway. And
I'm one of them.
I'm trying to get them to get over that,
Yeah. I'm one of them, Geoff. I mean, I've proven so many times my abilities. But on the other hand, Paul, let me tell you, your self-confidence is a lot. It lacks a lot. And that's it. I think everybody does. It's just a human nature thing. Yeah. Whether we're right or wrong, I don't know.
There's people with a lot of ability that won't use it because they're doubting, and I'm trying to get them to step up and do what I know they can do. And Tricia, yes, I believe so. I don't think this earth here is the be-all and end-all.
No, I think she's gone, mate.
Oh, she's guessed. She asked, is there a point where an old soul is done being on this earth plane, you think?
Yeah.
So, and I think, yes, I think there is a point where you've learned all you can learn here, so you move on to perhaps another dimension or whatever. Who knows what it's going to be in the future? We just don't know, do we?
No, this is it. And there was nothing in the instruction book about it when I came along, I can tell you. This is it. I think we've got to really look at things, all of the spiritualities side of things, and just realise that it is all somebody else's thoughts, not necessarily the correct thoughts. All you can do is be spiritual. And spiritualism is a way of life. It's not anything you can really put your finger on. It's something that really goes a long way towards being the perfect person, if you want it that way. That's if you're really interested in being one of them. I think there's so much more to come for spirituality, to be honest. And whether Old Soul or any other soul is in that same listing, I wouldn't be sure.
Okay, now Tricia's asked, do you think old souls are tested more and more or less and less? I don't think there's a matter of testing it in it, to be honest with you. I think what's happening is because we talked about this earlier, because the people of today are being accepted in their spirituality, whereas in my day and Brian's day when we started out, spirituality was something that you didn't talk about, and it was hush hush and secret.
Well, it was illegal. It was illegal in England for a while.
Yeah, but now, my grandkids, one of my grandkids is psychic, and we accept that, and he's able to grow in that, and therefore his abilities will come along a lot quicker and easier and better because he doesn't have that restriction.
Yeah.
And again, his kids will be even more,
More so, yeah.
So I don't think it's about being tested. I think it's the fact that you're more aware and therefore perhaps better able to cope with life on this planet.
Mm. I think that's what it is. It's acceptance of life.
No, all we're saying with an old soul is, Laurie, that you've been around the traps 2 or 3 times and you've learned a lot and you have more knowledge than the person who hasn't had all that experience. That's all it is. It's not a label that you stick on yourself with a big sign saying, I'm an old soul, treat me like this. It's just an understanding for yourself as to why you feel different to other people, why you feel able to look at somebody and say, wow, they've got a lot of knowledge, even without actually talking to them. You can just feel it. That's the old soul link.
Well, we do, Laurie, don't we? We pass it on to other people. As you say, it's not a matter of keeping it all to yourself and just being, sort of a post in the middle of a paddock. You're helping people as you go along, and by you helping them, it makes them think, well, perhaps if I'd done that, I could, become a decent person or whatever the case may be. The difference is between people. How can anyone ever say that is the perfect person, that is a real spiritual person, or that is, an old soul? I don't think it's possible. I honestly don't. Because there's so much...
Sorry, I would say no. An old soul isn't supposed to do anything. An old soul is a thing. It is. You are an old soul. You're not supposed to do anything other than live your life. Be as spiritual as you can. But then everybody's supposed to do that. It doesn't have to be an old soul to do that. You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, but we still do teach, don't we, Jeff, as we go along?
We do, but then so do non-old souls. They teach as well, based upon their experience. It's just that the more experience you have, the more you're able perhaps put across what it is you're teaching. You don't have to teach. Nobody makes you teach.
Oh, no, not at all.
Supposed to do this and supposed to do that. It's just a way of life that you live. You choose to live.
I mean, many people have come to me and wanted, me to teach them transcendental meditation. After 2 days, they give up and go on to something else, and you never hear from them again. Or they come back again by, that's it. More so, like, you teach by example. You just are. You just be it. But as I say, there's many times that I've tried to teach people, and it doesn't always work. They've got to come to you and want to help. That's what I found.
And the other thing is just to get something clear. Spiritualist doesn't have to be able to read. Doesn't have to be able to heal, doesn't have to be able to do anything like that. What they have to do is to live a good life.
It's a way of life
for other people.
It's a way of life, isn't it, Jeff? It's the way you live your life.
It's a way of life, yeah.
Yeah. That's how I always live. No, I just plod along. People come to me if they want help, I'll give them help. If they don't mention it, then I won't. You don't go around spouting. I mean, most of my family, especially my youngest daughter, her husband, and she's got 2 children, they haven't got a spiritual in them, and they know I do it. But on the other hand, I'm not going to go over and try and convert them and bring them over to, the good way. That's entirely up to them. If they want to know eventually, then they will.
I'm the same. If people ask me, well, what are your hobbies? I tell them I'm a spiritualist.
Yeah.
I don't hide it. I'm not, I'm not ashamed of what I do. But I don't go out there, stopping people in the street and try to read them like some of these so-called mediums do.
Oh.
To me, that's wrong. But, that's just my personal...
I don't know. To be honest, being a telepath, Jeff, I find that I pick up a lot from people, and all I do is I say nothing about it. Because it's not my business, but you still pick those things up.
Oh, yeah. But if somebody says to me, well, what have you got for me, then I'll do my best to give them a reading. But I won't go out and say to somebody, oh, stop, excuse me, madam, I've got your mother here, and she wants to talk. Bloody wrong,
Yeah, it's the bloke with the bowler hat on behind you with a briefcase, that annoys me. It so annoys me, it's standard bloody intro to a fake. But, everybody has got grandparents somewhere. They might not even know who they are, but they've got grandparents, and consequently, that's what they play on, and it annoys me so much. It does. There again.
And you can read it. I did a reading from one lady. She said to me, just tell me what you see for me. And I had a man come forward, and I described this man to her. She said, yes, I know who that is. I got his name, which she knew. And I gave her the message. She said, oh, thank you very much. And I said, well, who was this guy? When did he pass over? She said, he hasn't. He lives 3 doors down the road. And yet I gave her everything. I didn't know him from a bar of soap, I just gave her what I saw. So the guy was still alive.
Yeah, somebody tried me out the other day, and they put a photograph of a guy on the message on Facebook and said, can you tell me anything about him? I think there was a deep down interest that she particularly wanted to get to know him. So anyway, I went through and gave, right the way down to the fact of his name. And I got it all right. She said, that's phenomenal, really, really, really good. I said, but, you've got to be careful of this guy. I said, because, you might be putting too much faith in him. Anyway, she came back this morning and said, you're dead right. She said, he's blanked me off completely. He won't let me even get in touch with him. And I thought to myself, well, yes, it's great picking up things from people, but it doesn't always help. You can be as spiritual as you like, but if the other person hasn't got any spiritualism in them, you're not going to be able to get much joy and interest out of it. So as I say, it's good fun just to play with. It gave me a bit more confidence in life.
Yeah, it's always interesting. Why have we got to tell you you're beautiful again?
I tell you that every week I see you, Raven. Come on, Blondie.
So has anybody got any questions other than the ones we've had so far? Answer for you, or try to answer for you. I don't want to say we will answer, we'll try to answer for you. I can certainly do my opinions on things, but that's all I have is my opinion.
That's all there is. That's all there is, Jeff. Somebody's opinion.
I don't think that, you won't see somebody walking down the road with a sign above their head saying, this is an old soul. It's a very much subjective way this is worded here, and I actually printed some off the net. It says, a person who seems wise beyond their years and has a deeper understanding of people, life, the world, blah, blah, blah. So it's what they seem to be to you. This is the thing. There isn't no, definitely. It's only what you believe to be. I mean, there's a lot of stuff that people say to me, "What do you know about spirituality?" And I said, "I know nothing." I said, "But you've done mediumship, you've done healing." I said, "I think things, I have opinions on things, but I don't know."
No.
There is no knowing. Until we get to the other side, we don't know for sure. We only know what we think we know.
Yeah, I try not to concentrate on that though, Geoff. I try to concentrate on more the fact of just trying to be me.
Exactly, this is what I'm saying.
The best me that I can find.
Yeah, but when somebody says to you, "What do you know about this?" the answer is, "I know nothing. But I have opinions and thoughts, and I can give you those, but I don't know." There is no knowing with spirituality until we get to the other side.
Yes, I say there are no books that are true. It's only somebody else's opinion. And,
I think we find other old souls to run with. Yes, I do. And this is one of the things I find is that most of us that are that way inclined, probably in all areas of spirituality, you'll find groups get together, and those that gel well together are usually groups that of the similar ilk, if you like. So the older souls tend to sort of get together, I feel. Again, I can't prove this, but it's just the way I feel that it works.
I think when you find like-minded people, it's something that it goes beyond a friendship, because like-minded people, they're not rare, but there's always they sort of diverge onto a different track. And I think this is where the breakup of circles and such come. I've found that quite a few times, and it does get frustrating. I'll be honest, because there's always one fly in the ointment.
I think the other thing is that if you feel really comfortable in somebody's presence, that's a good sign as well, that they're of similar level to what you are, and therefore you're comfortable with them.
Yeah.
So it's always good to work that way.
But there again, I mean, this is it. It's to me helping other people through, proving your abilities to them gives them confidence in you, and consequently then they will sort of accept things more. And I say spirituality it's a way of life. You just fall into it. And I've been there for a long time.
It is a good life, I mean, I've only been doing this 25 years, but it's completely changed the way I do things. I actually had a major heart surgery at the age of 40. They told me I'd be back every 10 years for a redo. That was 30 years ago, and I haven't been back yet.
Oh. There again, your mind controls your body.
Because I got into spirituality and I started working on myself.
Yeah.
I started on improving me.
Your mind controls your body, doesn't it? That's
Exactly
the thing.
Right.
If don't forget, every little tiny atom in your body will react to whatever you want it to. This I have found 100%. And, well, I can't sort of express it enough, because, I mean, the amount of times that you think, oh God, I've got this wrong with me, that wrong with me, and I've heard people saying it, and I think to myself, well, you're silly, because all we're doing is accepting, your own negative thoughts, and put positive thoughts in there. It's great. The body loves it. It'll do whatever you want. Unless you get extremely tired, like I was a couple of nights ago. I got into bed and my heart was racing like you would not believe, and I even come out and asked Pauline to take my pulse. So, as I say, it's nobody knows. It's just a matter of live your life and enjoy.
But with the positive mind frame, that's the thing. You've got to keep yourself positive. Once you allow the negativity to creep in, that's when you start getting into trouble. When the doctor said to me, "You'll be back every 10 years," I said, "No, I won't." His face. I haven't been back. I've been fine ever since. And it's because I've maintained that positive attitude all the way through, that I'm not going to go back. It isn't going to happen to me.
Well, I've got a complex about doctors, I'll be honest, because don't forget, they're only there to make money, and they want you back time and time and time and time again. And I went down to him. I don't know what it was for at the time, but anyway, he said, "Look, let's just do a blood test on you." And so anyway, I gave in, and they jabbed a needle in me and done a vampire act. Anyway, next thing you know, phoned me up and, "Oh, come down quickly. Oh, something really, really, really wrong." And I thought, oh God, Anyway, only just down the road to us. I went down there. Oh, he said, "You've got elevated sugar levels." Oh, hang on. Ever since I was a kid, I've lived on junk. And other than, once I got married, things changed. But so, well, how can I said to him, how can I, do it? Oh, you've got to get a blood monitor, and you've got to prick your finger every day and take a reading on it, and, write it down and keep abreast of it all of the time, And I said, well, what exactly is it? He said, "You're having too much sugar in your food." I said, "Right, I'll handle that then." Well, that was, 5 years ago, probably? Anyway, twice I think I've been down there since, and each time he's done another blood test and comes back and he says, "Oh, yeah, okay, no worries." And I thought, well, how many people will be sucked in by it and so panicky, keep on going back and back and back and back because they haven't got any confidence in their own body. My body, as I say, it was only slightly elevated anyway, about 2 points over what it should have been. And since then it must have been way under, because he's never phoned me back and said, "Come and see me." It's one of these things that if you have the right thing in mind, I think this is where it all comes from. You've got to have a positive outlook on your life. That's the end of my little speech.
Yep, I agree with you. It's mind over matter. I had a situation where I got sick on a trip I was doing, and I just literally sat in a corner for 20 minutes and went deep inside myself and healed myself.
Yeah.
And I got in the car and drove for 6 hours after that, so I was good. But it just shows that you can do this if you keep that positive frame of mind and do the right things, look after your body, not just spiritually but physically as well.
That's it.
I try to eat good food. I don't eat much junk food these days.
No.
I cook for myself. I'm on my own, but I still cook for myself every day. And I look after myself, and that's the way to do it.
I think it's the way to be, but if you realise, and not a lot of people do, just how much your body is able to do things for itself. I was telling, I think it was you some weeks ago, about a guy in the army in America, and the boffins and the scientists were trying to do experiments on, how your body reacts, and is it just a soul thing for you, or is it, taken apart, for somewhere else. Anyway, they actually clipped a piece of skin, flesh, out of his arm. They put instruments on it so as they could measure exactly what was going on, and they put this piece of flesh in the next room, and then they shocked him, just boo job, and the piece of flesh got it exactly the same time as he did. They thought, well, we'll take this a stage further. They took it 360 miles away, set up all the equipment so as it was all being monitored. They shocked him, and this piece of flesh, even though it is 360 miles away, reacted to it. Now, how does your body know? Why do you think people don't trust their own bodies? Because your body can do anything at all that you want it to. And I think this is where a lot of misconceptions come from. That, oh no, I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that because so-and-so's got it and all. Don't think of it that way. Think, I'm immune to all that rubbish. Plod along. Just as an interest thing that I've found, and that's been notarised as well, because the Army's very good at that. But that's why they get worried about us peasants, because there's so many of us and so much strength, and we give out healing and all the rest of the things, and they can't control that. They can't control any of it, except by television and false news and fake things that are going on. So be aware. Yeah, righto, Jeff. No worries at all. We'll do that. Anyway, it's been wonderful having you guys here. I really do thank you for coming along, and I'm sure that next week's one will be even more interesting. So thank you very much for coming, and I wish you all a really good weekend. Look after yourselves. God bless.